What if you didn't get the questions correct? Then I'm making the presumption you haven't quite mastered that material, and I'm going to go in some way back through it, and I just put some squiggle little line here to say, I've got to make sure, in other words, the term we use is remediate you before I advance you. So then it's a continuous step of presenting the video to somebody, asking some questions, either reinforcing and advancing or remediating, and that's, you're done with the course. You might have a final exam at the end of it. That is interactive video, simple model of it. The interactive nature is asking first the questions and either reinforcing or remediating. I'm going to teach you a different concept. But first, the statistics on that. If I sent a person to a face-to-face class, the duration might be 36 hours. The performance, we'll just call it Unit 1. If I gave them just-in-time training of an interactive video nature, the statistics say you can probably reduce the training time to about half. I'm not going to get an argument about which research says half, and others say not quite half. But the performance is about 1. So basically, you have a substantial reduction in time with about the same learning outcome. I'm going to teach you right now a new concept. And it takes the same basic program, like in this case it was health. It says health is comprised of 4 vignettes. If you need to know about health, you need to know about nutrition, exercise, environment, habits. And so each one of those is represented by the equivalent of that little video vignette I would have told you about before. This is an oversimplification. I'm just showing you how this thing works. So in order to teach you health, I would have had to teach you those 4 little vignettes. But unlike the prior one, I'm going to do something a little bit different here. I'm going to ask you some questions about this module first. And if you got the questions correct, I say, hey, you already know that. Why do I have to teach you about nutrition if you already know it? But if you didn't get the questions right, I say, well, then I must teach you this thing. But do I really need to teach you about nutrition? Or is nutrition itself made up of a bunch of different little topics? And I say, well, let's say one part of it is grains, vegetables, fruits, dairy, etc. Let me ask you some questions about grains. In that case, I had to teach you it, and now you're done. I'll give you an okay. The red okay means I taught it to you, and now you've completed it and you know it. In this case, I went and asked you about vegetables, and by golly, you're already quite an expert on vegetables. I'm just going to reinforce that and move on to the other thing. Just for the sake of time, I'm showing that there were a couple of different things. Some I had to teach and some I didn't. So now you've mastered nutrition. I go into exercise, and you happen to be an exercise nut, and I don't have to teach you anything on exercise. You validate it. You know more than the teacher does on exercise. Isn't that possible? How many times we send people through courses when half the stuff we teach them, they already know, and they sit there bored. So that's the concept here. In this next last one, environment, oh, you didn't quite know it, so I have to teach you these 2 pieces, and now you know it. And the last one, yeah, you knew all about good habits, and you have to teach that. Now you've mastered the course. So a quick summary on the statistics for that. We talked about just in time versus now just for you. Here's the statistics we talked about before. Just in time reduces it to about half, about the same kind of performance. Just for you learning reduces it maybe down to around a third. Now, there's not a lot of research out yet to prove any of these things, so these are just guesses, but it's an educated guess. But there is some research to say a 2 standard deviation improvement in your learning. That's a hard thing to come by. So here's the principle that allows for that. Focus just on the needs until it's okay. Those things that we saw in red. And we don't have to focus on what is already known. Therefore, we can spend more time on teaching the stuff that is not known, and that's what improves the overall learning, but also simultaneously we have a reduction in the amount of time. Very powerful concept. Now, some people misunderstand this concept and say, aren't you just talking about a learning management system that says, if I have to teach somebody, let's say, an MBA program, I'm going to let you pick what courses you need to take. Maybe there's a core of 5 courses and then there's electives for 5 more. I'm not talking about at the course level. I'm talking about once you go inside of a course, done automatically by the technology itself. Make sure you have that difference, because that's often misunderstood when I teach or talk about this. They think, well, we already have systems. Learning management or learning content management systems already do this. No, they don't. If a learning content management sent you a module that was half an hour long, this says, I don't even need to teach you all of that. When I get inside of that half an hour module, I now decompose it and just teach you what you really need to know. And the person who invented it is past chairman of this computer science department at the University of Maryland, and he was into computer science and node diagrams and all that stuff, so you see where the technology that underlies this comes from. Now let's talk about interactive video as you actually see it in just a traditional course. And this is a course we teach Certified Knowledge Manager program, and we've gone from just workshop, which is fine. Workshop is very powerful, and that's how you have to perfect something. You can't perfect it. It's very tough to perfect it in e-learning mode. You really need to be out there trying to know what the students are understanding, what they're not understanding. And over a while in the class, you can get to say, hey, this is pretty robust. Now how can I substantially improve it? And one of the things you can do to substantially improve is to convert over from face-to-face into interactive video. So this is just a depiction of what a course might look like. The right-hand screen, part of the screen, is the content. And it's basically PowerPoint kinds of stuff. Though it doesn't look like PowerPoint, it looks like pretty sophisticated stuff. Well, the equivalent of PowerPoint, you can put real pictures in here, not cartoon characters. You can do all kinds of things that makes it look quite high value. On the left-hand side, you actually have the instructor talking to you. So there's, in this case, an announcer of the course. And also on the left-hand side, you have the individual sections of the course. And if a person is watching section 1 here and they want to go down and take a look at some of the interactive quizzes, they just click on that and it takes them to that part of the course. So a person completely controls where they are in the course if they want to, but typically they just let the course play through. And the course is comprised of both video and whatever dynamic action animation that you want to present. And the cost to do this today is quite affordable compared to what it was. Well, I remember being involved in this in the late 1980s. And the systems you had in those days were analog discs. They called them video discs, but they were analog. These big platters. And the machine was about a $25,000 player. And to create those courses and master those discs, you're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars to create just a 1-hour course. The dynamics are totally different today. Today, I'm just going to throw these up here. You can get a video rental studio for about $2,000 a day. The shoot will be about $1,200, and there's a couple of little expendables. Doing some of your graphic editing and then integrating it, depending on the nature of the complexity here, minimal animation versus much animation. You add all that up, and you come up with, including making some online distribution or DVDs for distribution, and you come up with numbers like $7,500 to $10,000, not $75,000 to $100,000. This does not include the cost for the subject matter expert. We're assuming the subject matter expert has developed the course already, and you want to put it in a format like this. It's quite affordable, and the first time you don't have 12 people come to your class and they can take it on their own, you've saved back the cost of doing something like this. I don't want to say 12. Don't hold me to that. It's only 12. But it's a fairly low break even today compared to what it used to be. It used to be you had to have hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of people to justify an interactive video course. Today, the number is way, way down, particularly if travel is a consideration.